Well, in the city of St. Louis a few hours ago, it seemed the trial to remove Sheriff Alfred Montgomery would wrap up today, but now there will be a fourth and possibly a fifth day of testimony in the Attorney General's case. First Alert 4 investigator David Amilati has the newest developments.
Both sides working their way through witnesses, but this trial will go into next week. That's part and result of the trial starting a day late because Alfred Montgomery was still being held in federal custody on Tuesday. That's part of a separate case. There are 6 charges the Attorney General's office is arguing. They include unlawfully detaining a deputy jail commissioner, unlawfully arresting a licensed private security guard, failing to transport prisoners for medical treatment, misusing public resources to pick up his children from school, failing to manage the finances of the office, and unable to devote time to the sheriff's office due to being in jail. Montgomery's defense has been critical, saying the Attorney General's office has not been truthful in its charges. There's been more than a dozen witnesses in this trial, but maybe the most revealing, Tashana Sias, the former director of personnel and fiscal operations for the sheriff's office. She says she was retaliated against and ultimately terminated after cooperating with federal agents. In court, she testified she cooperated with the AG's office and federal agents for deposition in August. She says Montgomery called her several times during that deposition. She says he followed up later on asking what she was asked and what she said. She says she was later terminated. Keep in mind, Montgomery has been in federal custody for witness tampering and retaliation charges. Then there was an argument between Sias and Montgomery's attorney, David Mason. In court, Sias testified, "I was terminated by David Mason." Mason argued with Sias, saying she had, quote, bad things to say about Montgomery. Montgomery's attorneys say Sias was difficult to work with, called to the office multiple times. Separately, you'll remember we were the first to tell you about $50,000 the sheriff's office spent in gold badges and uniforms. Sias says Montgomery ordered those purchases without following proper spending policies, and she discouraged those purchases. She says the same's the case for that $50,000 black SUV. We caught up with Attorney General Catherine Hanaway, who is seeking the sheriff's permanent removal.
This case, I think, was all about ego. We want the coolest uniforms and the coolest badges. Those dollars can be spent on other things, like actually having patrolmen work downtown St. Louis. It is critically important, and I thank you for doing it.
First Alert 4 Investigates also asked AG Hanaway if there's a conflict of interest with David Mason representing both Sheriff Alfred Montgomery in this case and also the sheriff's office. Multiple times in this trial, the judge has had to remind Mason that he is representing his client, not himself.
Certainly, the former judge, who I've known for a long time, has every right to be in private practice and represent clients. He doesn't have the right to say that he is both the client and the lawyer, which that sounded like it was getting a little close to yesterday.
Remember, this is a bench trial, not a jury trial. So the final decision, whether or not Alfred Montgomery is permanently removed as sheriff, comes down to presiding judge Steve Omer. It is unclear just how soon Judge Omer will make his decision. In downtown, David Amilati, First Alert 4 Investigates.